Good evening and welcome to Master Sports Theater, where our goal is to discuss the finer points of sports. No, just playing. I'm in front of a fireplace, so whenever you stand in front of a fireplace, you got to put on a fake accent, apparently. Anyway, today's topic is who had the greater career or the more excellent career out of two all-time greats, right? So, on one hand, I have the mighty Tim Duncan of the San Antonio Spurs, and on the other hand, I have the great Kobe Bean Bryant of the Los Angeles Lakers, all right? Now, I realize it's a little bit difficult to compare two players that play different positions. Granted, I'm not comparing them in a way where it matters as far as position-wise. I'm comparing their all-time resumes and ultimately their all-time greatness, their achievements, things of that nature. Now, I'm not going to go too far into stats because I think stats for different positions is kind of a pointless argument. Now, Kobe would have more points. Tim Duncan would have more rebounds. They play different positions. They're asked to do different things for their different teams. So that argument doesn't really hold a whole lot of water as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not going to even go there, all right? So first, let's talk about accomplishments. Now, what has Kobe accomplished in his years in the NBA since 1996? Well, let's see. All right, and I have a visual aid here that I prepared before because obviously I don't know their stats, not their stats, their accomplishments, in my mind. Kobe has 5 championship rings. Okay, pretty impressive. 1 MVP trophy, regular season MVP. 2 finals MVPs. All right. He has 7 finals appearances. Think about that. 7 times you went to the finals and you won 5 of them. 16 All-Star appearances or selections. 11 All-NBA first team selections. That's big. And two scoring champions. That's a huge resume. That is freaking awesome. If you think about your career, doing normal stuff or your job or whatever, think about your equivalent at your job. You would have to, have the perfect attendance, have, top of sales, that's the region we're in when we talk about Kobe Bryant. This is the best of the best, all right? And that resume is pretty awesome. And that's not even everything. That's just the stuff that I consider the most important things or whatever. So let's move on to Mr. Timothy Theodore Duncan, all right? He has 4 championship rings. He almost had 5 last year. Now, granted, I'm a little glad he didn't have 5 because LeBron won 2. But, 4 championship rings is a pretty big deal, all right? Tim Duncan also has 2 MVPs, so he has another MVP while Kobe has an extra ring. Tim Duncan has an extra MVP trophy. He has 3 finals MVPs, so 3 out of the 4 times that he won a championship, he was the finals MVP. The time versus LeBron in Cleveland, Tony Parker won that MVP, all right? 5 finals appearances, so he's 4 for 5. Now, I just want to point out one thing. First Take on ESPN, Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith constantly talk about, when they say, whether it's Michael Jordan or whoever, they're always like, 6 for 6 with 6 MVPs or whatever. Yes, 6 championships, 6 MVPs or whatever, 6 finals MVPs. I don't understand the 6-4-6 part. To me, that doesn't make any sense because it's almost like you're saying the years that somebody doesn't make it to the finals are actually better than years that they don't make it to the finals or whatever. If you make it to the finals, you have to win or else it counts against you or something like that. To me, that doesn't make any sense. So the 4 for 5 thing, it really makes no difference to me. The 5 for 7 in the case of Kobe, it doesn't. To me, making it to the finals is an accomplishment in and of itself. All right, so there's no 6 for 6, 5 for 5, whatever. As far as I'm concerned, that's not really a factor. The appearances themselves is, to me, another accomplishment. All right, and Tim Duncan's also a 14-time All-Star, which is huge, and he's 10-time All-NBA first team. All right, their accomplishments, their resumes, their career resumes are pretty similar in my opinion. I don't see a whole big difference between the two. Kobe has an extra ring. Tim Duncan has an extra MVP. Kobe did play in the NBA a year because he was drafted in '96, and Tim Duncan was in '97, I believe, because he played 4 years in college. But pretty similar. Altogether, their resumes aren't too much different. So if it was just by accomplishments, I'd probably give Kobe the edge a little bit, just because the extra championship, even though a championship is a team accomplishment, and he's a 2-time scoring champ, so he has a slight edge when it comes to career accomplishments, so to speak. So is it all about career accomplishments, though? Is it all about MVPs and this and this and this and this? Not entirely. So let's talk about the dominance at one's position. And what I mean by that is, when compared to the history of basketball, where are you in comparison to your contemporaries or peers or people who came before you or whatever? And for Kobe Bryant, I think he's widely regarded as the second best shooting guard of all time. And who's the first best, you might be asking, which I doubt anybody's asking. Obviously, Michael Jordan is the best shooting guard of all time. And Kobe doesn't really have a realistic chance to pass Michael Jordan, at least in my opinion. I have heard some people make an argument otherwise, but to me it doesn't really hold water. Kobe is the result of somebody who watched Michael Jordan and they grew up and perfected his moves and things of that nature. But he's not better than Michael Jordan, in my opinion. And I don't know that he could, at this point in his career, I don't think he will be able to eclipse Michael Jordan. So he would be understood as the second best shooting guard of all time. And let's move on to Tim Duncan now. Tim Duncan is far and away the best power forward to ever play the game of basketball. And I know some people are going to come with, no, he's a center or whatever. He's not a center. He's a power forward. He's always been a power forward. He's big enough to play the center position, but he's not a center. If you think about it, most of his years in the NBA, he's either had David Robinson, he's had Rasho Nesterovic, Tiago Splitter. He's always had another big man to play the center position to keep him at his actual position, because he's most effective as a power forward. Now, in today's basketball, where the power forward position isn't necessarily true anymore, I can see why people want to categorize him more as a center, but in actuality, he's not really a center. He's a power forward. All right, now, because people play Carmelo, people play Josh Smith and so. Well, Josh Smith isn't a small forward, but if you look at that, they would have a tough time dealing with a Tim Duncan in his prime, obviously, because they're not true power forwards. But Tim Duncan is a power forward, and you can't really change it just because he can play another position. He's a power forward. That's what he is. All right, so he has that, and he is the best. There is nobody else who could really make a claim towards that. He's better than Karl Malone. He's far better than Karl Malone. Has far more accolades than Karl Malone. It's not really anybody you could put against him to say, oh, this guy's a better power forward than Tim Duncan. So he has that on lock. And, potentially for the foreseeable future, I don't see anybody coming that. Maybe Anthony Davis, maybe, but it's going to take a long road. So as far as positional dominance, Tim Duncan is the top of his position, and Kobe is the second. All right? So I would give that edge to Tim Duncan. That's pretty cool that you're the best power forward of all time. What about franchise importance as far as your team or your organization? I think Kobe Bryant is the leading Laker as far as scoring of all time. All right? So, that's a pretty big accomplishment. the problem is, in my opinion, is Kobe Bryant the best Laker of all time? And though I think maybe by the time he finishes his career, he may be looked at as such, if he's not already. But I think it'll always be an argument there, because I think a lot of people aren't going to want to relinquish, Magic Johnson to Kobe and say, oh, Kobe's better than Magic. You ask a lot of people that question, you ask 10 people that question, you're going to get 10 answers. Some are going to say Kobe's better. Someone's going to say, Magic Johnson. They have the same amount of championships. They have, a lot of accomplishments between them both. So it's arguable. If you look at Tim Duncan, he's the Spurs all-time leading scorer, and he is the best Spur of all time. I don't even think there's really a conversation there. I guess if you had to choose somebody to make an argument about it, would be Dave Robinson, but Tim Duncan blows Dave Robinson out of the water, and Dave Robinson was a great player in his own right. So I think in that frame of thinking as well, I think Tim Duncan has the edge over Kobe Bryant as well. So, in my personal opinion, I think Tim Duncan has had the slightly more excellent career across the board than Kobe Bryant. But naturally, in saying that, we're comparing elite to elite. So, I mean, it doesn't mean a whole lot. But in my opinion, I would say Tim Duncan has had the more excellent career than Kobe Bryant, slightly. All right? Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments. Let me know if you think I'm wrong, right, or whatever. Subscribe to the page. And, yeah, like the video. Let me know what you think. All right. See you next time.